Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Crown Planet number 11 reel. And let's see what we can find out on the bottom of this. Patent pending. It says decision registered Japan. So I would think that this is probably a reel that was made in Japan in the late 50s, early 60s, maybe even up to the mid 60s. I've never seen this reel before. I picked this one up on eBay. I thought it was different, something I hadn't seen before, so I thought, well, let's give it a shot. So let's see about getting started on it. Let's see what kind of condition it's in first off. It winds, that's good. Push the button, hey, it releases the line, that's good. Let's see about drag. Drag's working. I don't know if it can be tightened down. Yes, it can. Anti-reverse works, but it's sluggish. It doesn't take on automatically. See, it takes it a little bit. I think if you gave it just a second to pause, imagine it's just stuck grease on the claw. So let's see about taking this thing apart. All right, let's go ahead and wind this line in. All right, and we'll start off by taking the cover off. Oh, good. It's not like a Johnson reel there with the unscrew cap there. Okay, we've got a nut on here. Let's see about taking that nut off. There we go. Okay, now the rotor comes off. That looks like a Johnson reel for sure. That's very much like a Johnson. Okay, set that over to the side. And let's go ahead and pop off this E-clip. Okay, and see if we can remove the rotor. Or sorry, there we go. There we go. There's the spool out. At first I thought that this was a plastic spool because it's really lightweight, but I think it's aluminum. It's an aluminum spool. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, this is our drag clicker, and this is our drag. Okay, so that adjusts in to press against the bottom to activate the drag up, and this has come loose. These things are very delicate. They don't want to stay in. See if we can get it to hook in there and stay. Let's see if I can get hold of that with a little pair of pliers and get it to get back into the slot. Yep, the whole thing come out. Well, we'll lay it over to the side. We'll see about putting that back in when we go to put it together. It's going to need some cleaning anyway, and it'll probably come back off when I do that. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the handle nut. We should be able to remove the handle. And we have a washer. Let's see if this is a tension washer. Nope, just two flat washers on there, shim washers. Okay, nothing else there. And let's see, it looks like everything's going to have to come out of the top of this reel. So let's see about taking this nut off. All right, that took a little bit of effort, but I did manage to find two 6mm sockets. And with those, we should be able to remove the nuts off of here. Matter of fact, I don't think I even need the ratchet to do it. Feels like it's loose. Okay. Slide the bolt out, or screw. We're going to put that nut right back on that screw so we don't lose it. Okay, now this one here, I'm hoping will come off. Okay, with that off, I'm sure that this will come out. All right, there we go. And hoping that means we'll be able to get in here and take all this apart. Oh, that's not fun. This is actually a cotter pin that they put in. Can you see that? Let's blow that up. I have to remember to come back and undo that. That is a cotter pin, a little cotter pin. Okay. And I don't have a replacement for that, so I'm going to have to try to be as careful as I can not to damage it taking it out. Okay, well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze these together and try to push them through the pin. There we go. There. Okay, now what's going to happen when I go to take this off is that's going to want to shoot up and out of there, the springs. There we go, there's the washer. Okay. Okay, we've got the washer. I had the pin just a second ago. Okay, the axle shaft is dropped out. The spring is now out. That allows the pinion to fall out. And hopefully that will allow the main gear to come out. Okay, we've got two pins here. It appears that this will unscrew out of here, and that should be the last thing that will release that and let that come out. But I've got to come up with something that will unscrew that. So let's see what I can find. All right, after a little bit of careful thought, I've decided and I'm going to try to use a little force, but I don't want to grab that directly with my channel locks. I want some cushioning in there. So we're going to place this rag over the top of it and see if we can get a good hold on it. It does not look like it because it's angled. So when I squeeze tight, it wants to, I can't tell if it's unscrewed. Yep, it's unscrewing. Okay. we go. Okay, now we can take that main gear out. Okay, with the main gear out, okay, that's the anti-reverse in this thing. Let's see if we can get a look at it. Okay, so there's a pin. Does this separate? I don't, yep, okay. This will separate. That's got to go in that direction. Back this out just a hair. And that's the pin, so we can rotate this around, come off of the pin. All right. I believe this will unscrew out of here, but I don't know that there's a need for it. There's your, when this axle comes forward, okay, when it pushes forward, it's going to push this rotor up. When it does that, the rotor will come up and sit on top of this right here. See that plastic piece right there? Okay, that's going to sit on the top of it up there, and then as it rotates around, once it gets to a certain point, that will catch, and it will drop it down and move the pin back out. Like that. Okay. And I'm trying to figure out what happened to that tiny little cotter pin. I was trying to be very careful with it so I didn't break it. There it is. Here he is. That's the cotter pin. Okay. And hopefully I can get 2 uses out of it. I'm going to clean all this up. We're going to come back and reassemble. That didn't take long. This reel cleaned up real nice and sweet and very easily. And what we're going to do, we're going to use oil on this shaft here and on the anti-reverse. And this piece here goes in first, and it's going to drop in. And it goes over that pin and then rotates around to kind of fall out of it. This piece, this was stuck to it, and I think that's part of why it was having a sluggish anti-reverse. This piece goes in, and you got to get that pin to drop in, and when it backs up, it locks it into place. So it will turn one way, but it won't turn the other way. Okay? So that pin will loosen going that way and tighten it down that way and lock it in the hole. Okay, with that done, let's make sure, did I clean out this hole? I did not. Okay, everything else on here is clean and ready to go back together. All right, we're going to set this main gear back in place down here like so. Just set it in. And then we've got to screw this piece back in. Now, this chrome piece really was super, super tight. And so I'm going to attribute that to a little bit of metal corrosion along the thread. So we're going to add just a tad of grease where that goes. Slide that main gear up inside it and see if we can get this to screw back in. And I did more of that just slightly. It would have been nice to have had the pins that go in there, but we'll leave it as is. We're going to snug this down. All right, that's got that all the way in. And we'll put our main gear in here. And we really need the pinion to go in at this point. So we'll go ahead and put him in. We're not going to try greasing this pinion and main gear yet. We're just going to set them in place. And we'll slide the axle shaft in. Before we do that, let's go ahead and give it some oil on the slider and oil on the axle shaft where it rotates. And see, yep, get the pinion back where it belongs. And slide that axle shaft up. Get the start in the pinion. There we go. It's got a keyway in there, so you have to match up the keyway. All right, and I'm going to sit this down here on top of this rag to kind of hold that, because now what we have to do is we've got to put the spring on. Slide that over the shaft. Then we're going to have to compress the spring down, hold it in place, put this washer on, and then run this cotter pin through. So first thing we got to do is rotate around until we find the hole. There's the hole. Okay, there it is right there where the pin's going to go through. All right, so what I'm going to try to do is go in here with my needle nose pliers. You know what? Better than the needle nose. Haven't had to use these in a while. Let's go in with the hemostats. And we're going to try to compress this down. I'm going to try to get it to compress down and then grab hold of it with the hemostats and lock the spring in place without crushing the spring like that. Okay, with that done, I should be able to go in with a pair of needle nose, set this washer in place down in there. Put that in place. Let's go ahead so you can see what I've done. With that in place, we should be able, I'm hoping, to get hold of this cotter pin and slide it through the hole like that. Okay, with that in place, we should be able to now release that, rotate this around until we bring the cotter pin legs out. And now let's see if we can hold this in place while we bend those cotter pin legs back over. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's see if I can add any light to the subject. So what this means is, if you were doing one of these, I'm going to suggest that you not take this off. Okay, I think that's got it. Is it going to hit? Yes, it's still going to hit. I still need to get a little bit of bend on this side over here. There we go. Now it's no longer going to hit. Although I think I've still got room for a little bit of a bend right here. There we go. Rotate a little bit more. All right. Yeah, cotter pin would not have been my choice for putting in there. All right, now that we've got all that in, let's back it back out. And let's put some grease in there. Just put it on the teeth of the main gear and the pinion gear. Rotate it around a little bit. Put yourself some more in there. And really you can get by with just doing probably half of the teeth on here and you'd be fine. Because the grease is going to spread around and spin and get onto the rest of the teeth. Okay, there we go. Now let's put a little bit of grease on the spring where it's going to slide up and down. And I think we are ready at this point to put this button back in. Now let's put a little bit of grease right here, the back of the button where it rides. And let's see if we can put a little bit into the hole on each side so that that screw is going to have something to slide into. Okay, and we're going to slide this guy back over. And it was really tight coming off. Hopefully it's going to go back on and not crack or break. Okay, it didn't. We've got this bolt. And we've got to get it started on this side and get it to go through the holes in the button. And okay. Okay, get it to go through the button. And now we got to get the button to go all the way through the other side. Like that. And now we can put the nut back on. I got big fingers and a little bitty nut, so let's see if we can fit the nut in place. And there we go. All right, that in place. We'll try turning the bolt on this side, see if we can get it tightened down on the nut. There it goes. All right, let's add some oil here. This is going to ride up and down right here. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to screw this screw in, whichever direction it takes to turn it in, probably clockwise, I'm hoping. Yep, clockwise was fine. And this is our drag plate, and it's going to fit right into that slot right there, like that. Okay, we're going to take and add some grease to the drag plate. And now we're going to want to put this spool back on, but first thing we're going to need to do is try to get this dust catcher back on. And so let's see if we can do that. Yeah, I'm afraid that when they put this in here, they probably had a much longer wire, and they put it in, folded it to place, and then cut it off. But I think that will hold if we go ahead and put it directly in now and get it to slide down. There we go. That'll hold it in place. Okay. We're going to take our E-clip. I'll put that in place and slide it on like this. All right, now let's see if we can get hold of this string line, the mono. Pull it out here. Try it again. Okay. So we got hold of that, and we pull on this. That's our drag. You can hear the click. Okay. Now, while that's going on, you should be able to tighten it down over here using this drag knob. And this should get much harder to pull, and it is. The more you tighten it, the harder it gets. So that's good. That's working. Drag's fine. Let's go ahead and set our rotor back in place. The rotor's been oiled, cleaned. We'll set it in place here. It's got a flat spot right there. We're going to line that flat spot up with the flat spot on the axle shaft. And then we're going to take this nut and put it back on. There we go. Alright. That works. Okay, now we have 3 shim washers that came off of here. We're going to put all 3 of them back on. And we're going to add a little oil to them. Slip on the handle. And put the nut back on. Okay, the design, turns out that that's not a sticky anti-reverse. It's just the design of that anti-reverse. It takes it a while to back up and actually activate. It's almost a half a turn sometimes to re-engage, but it does work. It is a quiet design. It makes no noise, which is different from a lot of anti-reverses. Okay. I'm going to put the cover back on. Like so. Okay. We got drag. We wind in. We push the button. We release. Good. Okay. It needs the line replaced, so I will strip the line back off of it. But I wanted it so I could find out the drag was working. And there you go. Watch. See, the handle will back up a little bit, and then it'll engage the drag. Of course, you can hold it in place, and it will accomplish the same thing. But it definitely needs a new line. This line's got a lot of memory in it. So, there you have the Crown Planet number 11 spincast reel. And no, I'm not planning on letting this one go. I'm going to put it over in my case. It's a pretty neat reel. I might take it out and fish with it one day. I don't know, but I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. For now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels signing out.